This is a football show. We don't need to care about Halloween. So, hello everyone and welcome to Wednesday's Talking Reds in association with Tokyo Time. My name is Stewart. This is Rob Gutmann. You know what? I was going to do the whole happy Halloween business, but I really can't be arsed with Halloween, you know.
Do you say happy Halloween?
People do.
I actually wished my son one of them happy Halloween
Well,
this morning. Thought, I don't know. I don't think you say happy Halloween. It's
I can't be arsed with it, mate. I'm sorry. It's like it's just become adult dress-up day.
Because yes, we are grown-ups. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? This is a football show. We don't need to care about Halloween. So it's a football show. The only thing scaring Liverpool fans right now is the form of Manchester City. Now, yes, we are joint top in the table, but they've got 27 goals, they've conceded 3, they're swatting away people left, right and centre. We've got to the same place, but they've kind of got there a little bit more serenely. It's like we're travelling in first class on the train, they're being chauffeured in the back, being fed grapes and wine and having their feet massaged. So it feels like it's almost insurmountable already. But it isn't. We are still at the same place. There is a long way to go, so we don't need to be so scared, do we?
There's a perception thing, isn't there? I mean, they beat Spurs and suddenly, the wheels have fallen off our season. We went to Spurs and murdered Spurs. We were 2-0 up, could have been 4-0 up. They get a late goal, which makes it look close. Mm-hmm. They create next to nothing in the entire game. They go there, get a very early goal, and concede chance after chance throughout the game. They're not particularly creative themselves, although Spurs are wide open. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching from outer space, having never seen the sport, the performances are almost chalk and cheese between Liverpool and Spurs at White Hart Lane. Yeah, but the narrative's different. Again, if last season doesn't exist and you just watch City this season, you just watch Liverpool this season, yes, they've been more comfortable in a few games, but those fixtures were arguably more comfortable. So I don't think anybody is necessarily picking that much between us. What is frightening people is they have this pedigree, this 100-point pedigree, and they're on trajectory for that again. We have there's no precedent for us keeping this going. For us, it still feels like a decent run rather than the way we are now.
But is that part of the problem? The fact that we are, to a certain extent, as is our want, overthinking things a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you look at the goal difference, and people are already starting to think, well, we're obviously going to have to get more points than them. And then when you factor in, like you say, this 100-point thing, which keeps getting thrown around and seems to become a big, the milestone of what it's going to take to win the league this year, although that's never actually been the case before. And you start to have like a kind of inferiority complex. And is there a worry that, I mean, we don't know what the players are thinking. We hope that they're kind of shielded from all of this outside noise, but if they do start to lose hope, or if anyone starts to lose hope, then that leads to a loss of focus, and then we start dropping points, and then all of a sudden it becomes immaterial how many goals more they scored. Yeah,
it does. The problem with their 100 points is we feel like we're under pressure already, because we can't just look at, let's be an 85, 86 point team and say on that trajectory we're a good side who will stay in contention for this title throughout. Mm-hmm. I think almost any other season you start like this, you go, no, we feel like a team. We got 75 points last season on the back of a slow start and massive distractions in Europe and a smaller squad. It feels like we're already a side that will get at least five, but probably not without much discomfort, another 10 points. So already we feel like we're a side that can get a title-winning total. But we've got them alongside us as these pace setters, and it could traumatise us. And it could mean that we do eventually lose our heads. When they win 2 matches on the bounce and we draw 2 matches on the bounce, suddenly the gap becomes 4 points. I can see our mindset allowing us to spiral. That's my fear.
Are we getting too caught up in the hypotheticals though? This is the point.
Sure.
Like, I mean, we're talking about 75-point teams, 85-point teams, 100-point teams. We need to be talking about being a 29-point team this time next week, and then a 32-point team.
That's what the manager will be saying.
And on and on. And that's what we should be saying too. I mean, I don't want to go on too soapboxy. I know I've already got a bit angry today, but essentially, this is part of being in a title race. All we need to do is keep our heads, keep level, keep going. we're not going to lose it here. All we need to do is get to March, get to February, April time. That's when the crunch happens. If we're still in contention there, that's when it's time for all of these neuroses to start bubbling up again. If we're this neurotic now, we're going to be knackered by the time we get to that point. And like I said again, there is a difference between the way the fan base feels and the way it feels within the squad. But they do listen to what we do, and if we're all en masse freaking out, it's going to eventually start to bleed in.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm of a fretful disposition in these situations. We're 3 days away from Arsenal. It's a tough game right now. I'm not saying I take a draw because I think we can go there and win, but it'd be a perfectly respectable result. But City are very likely to win their game this coming weekend. I think they're at home to somebody crap again, Burnley maybe. I don't know. They seem to play Burnley every other week. Chelsea, I don't think have got a particularly big game this weekend, have they? Am I wrong in thinking
Off the top, I genuinely don't know.
So the possibility is that we could find ourselves around third come Saturday night, Sunday night, say. And not that I think everyone will combust, but I just hope that doesn't deflate. As you say, there's a massive difference between out here in the real world. Klopp knows his job is to shield them from this, and to prepare them for the fact that the real world is a crazy, crazy place. And to keep them focused, and so far so good.
In that scenario where we draw Arsenal and Manchester City win and Chelsea win, we would be 2 points off the top. Chelsea are currently 2 points off the top. Do you think they're freaking out?
No.
If Spurs had beaten Manchester City, Spurs would have been level, Spurs would have gone above them. Manchester City would have been in 4th place. Would they have been freaking out then?
No.
I don't think so. We need to chill out, guys.
Yeah. I mean, and also, I'm looking at them at least in 2 and 4 game blocks anyway, if truth be told, because we got Fulham the week afterwards, who are competing with the likes of Cardiff and Huddersfield and Newcastle to be the worst Premier League team of all time, whilst City play the Manchester Derby, which is not quite going to put the fears into them it once did, but but still.
What you were saying before about matchups is that we do all play each other twice, and there's going to be weeks where our game's easier than theirs and vice versa. So for every point of the story where it seems like they might get an advantage, even if, like you say, we do end up conceding points to them, there will be a chance to get those points back.
Yeah. The only thing slightly depressed me against Tottenham, I was actually encouraged by how crap they were at times. I mean, the chances they gave to Harry Kane and Lamela, as long as they spring to mind, were encouraging. They looked wide open. But the one that didn't please me is watching Kevin De Bruyne come off the bench later on. You go, oh yeah, I forgot. They've done all this without Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes.
If we'd done all this without Mo Salah and he was coming back in, I think we'd be...
The depth in most areas is quite frightening. But, I mean, we saw a little bit of a niggle happen to Edison in that game, and again, we're not trying to wish injury on anyone.
Is he a doubt?
Well, no, he received treatment. And there was a moment where they kind of shot to the goalkeeper. Their reserve goalkeeper is a kid, basically. It's from the youth team, because they have had problems. They weren't allowed to sign another emergency keeper when Claudio Bravo got his long-term injury.
Right.
So, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say that we want this to happen, but
well, we do.
If that scenario did happen,
which would be great,
that would be. Come on, Rob, you're killing me here.
And the voice of your conscience on your shoulder,
You're like that meme with Kermit with the hood up.
that
guy. But yeah, that would definitely cause them a problem, and there are so many unseen scenarios that can happen late in the season. I mean, all you've got to look back on is some of the previous years, positions where people have been apparently unsurmountable, only to have it dragged back. There's still so long yet to go.
Yeah, we only have to, let's be right, let's worry about ourselves.
Yes.
I'd like to think we might be sweating in May that 88 points might win the league. We can't take that kind of points level for granted.
No.
And we are currently on, 102 point trajectory. Something mad. If you extrapolate what we've done so far, we'd end up only having dropped about 7 points come May if we continued that momentum. It won't happen. So that would put us on 107 points?
Yeah.
That's our current trajectory.
See,
so we can afford to slack off a bit.
these are the kind of things that I'm all right with us getting our minds caught
Yeah.
up in, because again, they're hypothetical scenarios, but they're positive ones.
Of course they are.
And we need a few of them. We've got a great team at the moment. We need to not lose sight of that fact more than anything. That's basically what I'm saying here. Okay, so moving on, I want to address something that was brought up in the show yesterday. Debunking some more bollocks, as we like to do on our show. Loris Karius, there's been a lot of talk about him being potentially sent back from his 2-year loan deal at Besiktas. I can confirm that not only is that not possible, but Besiktas and Karius' agent have both confirmed that they're happy with him there, all is good, and this is just a mischievous story leaked by someone unknown who just can't seem to let him lie. It's a bit sad, really.
Hasn't Loris taken to social media to quash these rumours?
Well, there was
doing
a picture of him just kind of like sipping his coffee on Instagram, just saying "coffee now, media bullshit later," and
does a few press ups and runs into the sunset.
no, it's a picture, not a video.
Okay,
it's a picture.
We love you still, Loris. Somewhere in our deeply recessed in our hearts and souls.
Like, I'm not even gonna touch that.
No.
But the reason why I wanted to bring that up, not only to just say, look, everyone just chill on Karius, but the other member of that story, intriguingly, was Divock Origi.
He probably put it out. Nice one, Divock. We bought
Maybe
it.
it was. And there was talk that obviously he has interested them, but Liverpool are holding firm on their valuation of £20 million for him. Now, that might raise some eyebrows. I know it certainly did in the summer. There was some who felt like we should have just maybe cashed in at a slightly lower level and looked to replace him. But when you look at the rest of the backup strikers in our squads, thinking of Sturridge and Solanke specifically, if we are going to be looking to move one of them on, sell on value, he has the highest potential. His potential
Of those three, yeah, he
through
does,
the
yeah.
roof. And we've heard reports today that Chelsea apparently sniffing around one of our former players, Suso, who is currently doing really well at AC Milan and has a release clause of £34 million. So
That would upset me if they went to Chelsea.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I mean is, in the context, 20 million is not actually that much, is it?
No, not on the inflationary market. And also, let's be right, that's the price Liverpool are naming. Do they literally mean that? I mean, I think that's the top end of a price Liverpool take with add-ons. I think it's the price they want to report. I think they'd sell Origi in January. I'm going to pick a figure for 14 plus 3 in add-ons.
You reckon?
Yeah. Let's put it this way. The story of James Pearce, I think he breaks the story of the Echo. Liverpool would take some. So James has got information clearly there, and it has to come from Liverpool. And Liverpool, we've seen this a million times before. They have to effectively name a price for suitors out there, and they're not going to name the bottom or middle end of the range they expect. So, but your point stands, because I don't think Dominic Solanke's going for big money at the moment, despite the fact that he's young and has potential. Daniel Sturridge is out of contract, and going to leave on a pre-contract in January.
Good.
So there's no sell-on value in Daniel for us. It's a strange one, Origi, because obviously he has an early spell for us where, he actually looks the business for a while. The end of Klopp's first season, you're surprised if you'd heard that this is where he'd be in 2 years' time. Mm-hmm. His goal-per-minutes ratio was outstanding. And although his career's tailed off for Liverpool, I was interested. I think it was Red Star Belgrade last week. He makes the cut for the bench.
He does.
Ahead of Solanke, for example. And probably there's a midfielder or so out there who also might have been surprised not to make. I don't know exactly what the squad options were for Klopp, but still, to see him rehabilitated was interesting, and I think Klopp said he's looked good in training. Mm-hmm. I think he might still have a chapter to write at Liverpool region. I don't think long term, but I do wonder, a little injury crisis here or there, and he might find himself on the bench, he might find himself off the bench. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting player.
I do. I think he's the kind of guy who needs to have a regular run, though, and I think that's the one thing we probably can't offer him at this moment. But I'd love to see him be able to come in and be a feature towards the end of the season. But I think January is going to be really interesting, because you've got, like you say, Sturridge and his contracts. I mean, there's been mooted talk of people clamouring almost for him to get a new contract, but at the wage level he's currently at, I can't see that happening. I can't see them maybe coming a reduced deal. And so you start to wonder how much these options influence each other. And then when you add in the fact that Rhian Brewster is going to be projected to be back in the second half of the season. Do you think his progress might start to influence those other decisions? For example, if he's back and fit before the end of January, are Liverpool then more inclined to take a slightly lower fee and get Origi off the bridge?
Brewster's a very interesting case in point, and forgotten until we remember. But the interesting thing about Brewster is we still honestly don't know whether he is the big hope of our academy or a myth. There's clearly a feeling around the club that Rhian Brewster is special. When me and John Gibbo spoke to Michael Beale, of the former head of the under-23s and leading figure at the academy, about Brewster, I think it was up to maybe 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and he was effusive in a studied way, like I don't want to say too much, but this kid. And Liverpool worked hard, I think, to convince him to sign a new deal, fighting off interest from the German clubs who wanted to do a Jadon Sancho with him. And in fact, I remember watching Brewster a couple of years ago in the same game as Jadon Sancho. I think he scored in the game against City. It's the first time I'd noticed Sancho, and I thought, bloody hell, he's very, very good.
Okay.
But Brewster scores in that game. I think it was a Youth Cup game, and Brewster looked very, very good. He was the top scorer for England in the World Cup at that age group. So we don't know. But the other factor is this injury. Mm-hmm. I think if Rhian Brewster comes back, kicks a ball in late December, early January, as I think is targeted, and he very quickly looks like he's back in the old routine, I think that might change a lot of plans at Melwood and around who gets recruited, whether we need another front three player or not. Well, Rhian Brewster's young, time's on his side, but I wonder if he affects first team squad planning for a good while yet.
Okay. No, that's a fair point. Okay, well, we've covered quite a lot in a short space of time so far, so it's probably time to take a nice little pause.
Tokyo Time is sponsoring Talking Reds for Wednesdays for the foreseeable future, which were made up about. They're a Liverpool company. They're trying to do things differently. They're trying to do things better, a bit like the Anfield wrap. And so they've set up only recently, but already got a lot of traction for kind of what they want to do. They helped us out in America. They gave us hats to wear over there, and very much needed to wear in that bacon sun next to the pitch, watching the Liverpool boys train. So yeah, since then they've come in. They've asked us about doing something a little bit more formal. So that's what we're going to do. So they're going to be sponsoring Wednesdays on the Talking Reds for the foreseeable future. If you're into your baseball caps, you're into your street style, or you know anyone else who is, or you're looking for presents to buy for people, do check out their website. It's tokyotime.co.uk, or follow them on Instagram. They've got loads of styles, something for everyone, and the fit is really, really good. So yeah, cheers to the boys for supporting us. They're supporting us, so do try and support them. tokyotime.co.uk.
Thanks, Gibbo, as always. Now, it's the time of the show where we tell you about what you can be hearing and seeing coming out of the Anfield Wrap today. Now, pretty much as soon as this is finished, Rob and I are going to be recording a new show called Unwrapped. Now,
it's not a new show, it's an established format, Mo, but it's a new episode.
A new episode.
Sorry, I don't want to pull you up on this.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Go on.
The information has to be correct, so I understand that.
We're all about the accuracy here.
Yeah, so in that instance, would you like to continue with the...
Sorry, I feel bad now.
Yeah, you should.
It's also, in our subscription service, Tour Player, £5 a month, absolute snip. You get loads more me and this man.
We should have like a bell that goes off every time you say that.
Yes, exactly. We should, yeah.
I think we can do that in post.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the show that we're going to record. Yeah, well, Anfield Wrap, Unwrapped is a show that goes behind the magic. No, we sort of focus on that show on ongoing conversations that we as supporters are having in the pubs and clubs of Liverpool. Now, this one we were going to talk about, does a manager have to win a trophy to be considered any good these days? And this is on the back of talk of Pochettino having not delivered, and is he really worthy of being a candidate for the Real Madrid job? What next for him at Tottenham? But it's an ongoing noise around Jurgen Klopp, and we've been talking about City possibly on course for another 100-point season. Jurgen could spend the next 5 years getting 87 points a season for Liverpool and never winning a title. whereas in the 80s you might have 1, 3 or 4 at that equivalent level. So it's a conversation. What do we actually expect of our manager these days? What should a club's policy be if he doesn't win a trophy in a year or two? Sack, twist, Chelsea style, all these things we should be discussing. I'm really looking forward to doing this one, mate.
I'm looking forward to it as well, actually. My notes page on my phone is rather large.
Shit.
So yeah.
Bring it.
Oh, don't worry, I will. We've also got the Lower League show coming out for those of you that way inclined. That will be out later today. And we had a very good edition of AFQ Football a couple of days ago. And we've got a little clip for that now.
Okay, next one is Pat, who asks this, a good question. What are your thoughts about copying the Championship playoff format for the 4th Champions League spot? So 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th all got lashed into a playoff, would allow more meaningful games into the later part of the season as well. The idea that sides are killing themselves to come 7th, because it gets them into the Champions League playoff. Craig Cannon, you're excited.
Bang up for it. Playoffs are my favourite, one of my favourite things in football. I think definitely Liverpool aside, anything that we can do, I love the play. I watched the playoff final before I'd watch the Champions League final if we weren't in it, and even the semis. I love the semis as well, so I'm bang up for this.
Okay, John.
I mean, think of the content.
Yeah, you come 4th.
So yeah, do it for content. Yeah,
you come 4th,
and we'd have probably got in more of them. Really, obviously you're risking it for when you come 4th, but the amount of times you come 5th and 6th, but we'd have probably got up for something like that.
4th, and you get 4th versus 7th. Last year it would have been us versus Burnley in 4th place over 2 legs. And then
we might have been more determined to come 3rd then, though. So
yeah, we might have ensured that we come 3rd.
Just one of them, isn't there? But I don't know. It's another chance to lash stuff at a bus.
You barely cunts.
Sean Dyche with his chest out like that.
Ashley Barnes stood on the roof of the bus and stuff away.
What reason?
I don't get enough, Craig. But it's the 61, it just feels mean.
Yeah. But us throwing stuff and going, it's not working. This Ashley Barnes wants to know. They don't want to know. Ashley Barnes wants to know. Lizzie?
I think there's an argument that it might make teams play a little bit better, because I think we have such emphasis on the top 6 at the minute, and anyone past the top 6, and yet I am saying anyone, will sort of just come and sit back usually and just try and get a draw. It might actually make teams actually play a little
See
bit
the value
of
of 3
football.
points?
Yeah, so if you're, that's what I'm saying, it doesn't become about the top 6, and even then top 6 have to get into a top 5 for Europe, unless obviously one of them wins the FA Cup or whatever, and the place drops down. But it's a bit of an incentive, and I'm with you. The playoff final, the playoffs. I like the playoff semis probably more in a way. They're dead interesting. I'd be up for that.
I'd be up for it just for the bus thing. You've heard about this bus thing now, haven't you? I'm all about the bus thing now. Yeah, absolutely.
Gets everyone out, doesn't it?
I try to have a pint once in a while as well.
Things you can do together, that's what, men are looking for.
So there you go, plenty of stuff for you to enjoy in this lead up to, what is that, 3 days before the next game of football?
Thursday, Friday, 3 sleeps.
3 sleeps, there you go. Now, all of you going out tonight, don't bother.
Stay safe.
See you next week, up the Reds.